Well, it finally happened. Beavis and Butthead are back again after 11 years of hiatus on Paramount Plus with a new film, Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, plus 2 new seasons also on the way, and I for one am really excited. For the past 20 years or so, it feels like corporations, if not our entire culture, has gotten an obsession with reboots and sequels and all that to beloved properties from yesteryear, and by now it isn't hard to see how those kind of things can crash and burn without the right crew on board. Bringing a property back requires not only a lot of work, but a good amount of knowledge on what makes its predecessors so good in the first place, and even if you go as far as to get the original directors and writer back, that's not a guarantee it's going to be exceptional, and that's just the beginning of everything a continuation really needs to keep track of. It might have to worry about character growth, plot progression, differentiation, etc., and a lack of any one could lead to the end product not living up to expectations. Then there's Beavis and Butthead, who sort of exist as an exemption to that rule, though the idea of having the right people behind the project is still key. You see, the thing about Beavis and Butthead as characters, at least when handled by people who know what they're doing, i.e. the creator Mike Judge, is that they never really change, and I mean never. Technically speaking, the intricacies of their relationship have evolved slightly over the years, towards Beavis being the more wholesome, influenceable one, and Butthead the abusive leader, whereas before they were just sort of two dudes, but their basic wants and desires have never gone through any significant growth in the near 3 decades they've existed in pop culture. They've never gone through arcs to become different people. They've never had to face anything that could seriously affect them. Almost nothing can stray them from their few main goals in life: to live, laugh, and score with any chick that says yes to them. And that's what makes them work so well, no matter when or how they appear in media. It's no secret that, in TV at least, we've shifted more towards serialized stories and movies over episodic ones, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's what the culture has gravitated to as of late, and if that's what people want, I'm not gonna argue. I like serialization too. At the same time though, I also hope that just because serialization has become the standard, that doesn't take away from series with weaker continuity or potentially none at all. I say that since more and more it feels like there's been a growing minority of people who think that serialization isn't only an alternative to episodic storytelling but better since it's technically more in-depth. And I'm here to proclaim that, no, I disagree. Again, not to say that serialization doesn't have its merits depending on the type of narrative the creators want to tell, but there's nothing making it superior to episodic and non-linear stories, and Beavis and Butthead are the prime example of why. First appearing in 2 shorts back in 1992, Beavis and Butthead were created by Judge with a simple purpose in mind: to comment on the stupidity of youth culture through 2 characters that want nothing more than to watch MTV and have sex no matter what, even if they really don't know what sex even is. That's all they were back when they first debuted, and that's all they are to this day. Sure, the series isn't always centered around that exact concept. It'd get boring if they did the same thing every episode, but those basic rules of their characters are never broken, and because they adhere to that simple rule, Beavis and Butthead theoretically have the potential to work in any scenario, whether it's with the characters of their own series or not. The truth is, the duo, through their various escapades, have yet to be in a scenario where they could not fit incredibly well, which just shows how amazingly written as characters they are. All you gotta do to see that is look at their 2 movie excursions, Beavis and Butthead Do America and Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, for proof. Do America served as the guys' theatrical debut, so like most TV to movie adaptations, the crew wanted to go bigger in proportions, but still, no matter what, they had to keep Beavis and Butthead themselves the same, so how could they do both? Pretty easily, actually. The film kicks off when the characters find that their TV has been stolen, so they try to get another one. But through a series of complicated events and misunderstandings, this simple quest to get a new television leads Beavis and Butthead to unknowingly turn themselves into the FBI's most wanted under the assumption they're holding a chemical weapon to assassinate the president with. So as you can see, the stakes have been heightened, but in practice, the 2 stay exactly the same as people by remaining oblivious to the fact they're on the run, only having the thought in their minds that they have the possibility to score, so the core of their characters never changes, and that's what always makes them worth watching. It'd be expected for characters in this situation to be actively running from the law, trying to get revenge on the people that set them up, but Beavis and Butthead don't care and never will because they're too stupid to ever consider that they're in trouble. And inadvertently, that comments on the world around just as much as it does about them, cause how stupid can the American government be to not only think the duo could do anything competent, but also miss them at every turn when they aren't trying to hide? And it's the same for Do the Universe. Beavis and Butthead punch each other in the nuts, they think about sex, and that leads to them somehow destroying $2 billion of equipment before being sucked into a black hole that sends them 24 years into the future, or the present, really, but you know, it's the future to them. Then being hunted down by both the American government and the person that tried to kill them by sending them into the black hole in the first place, all under the assumption that they'll get to score. Don't you see? Part of why Beavis and Butthead work in almost any setting they've been put into is because of their beautiful simplicity. There's no need to complicate them with serious arcs or struggles or motivations. They've already got all they need to be perfect. Anything straying from their goals of sex, entertainment, stupidity, and occasional violence just wouldn't be the characters we've come to know. All it takes to make their adventures perfect is to adhere to those rules and create a world around them that bounces well off their stupidity. Like, I never thought I'd laugh at a white privilege joke in 2022, but Beavis and Butthead were able to transcend time and culture by acting like themselves, and that was enough. Showing that any joke, no matter how dated it might appear, can still be funny and timeless if the right writers know what to do with it. Really, I'd compare Beavis and Butthead to the likes of modern-day Tom and Jerry, obviously plus a bit of timeless commentary on dumb youth that never goes out of fashion, and I know how that sounds, but hear me out. Take a look at the adventures Tom and Jerry have gotten into over the years, whether it be TV, film, direct-to-video installments, whatever. Why is it they're able to work so well in all those movies when their premise used to be speechless cat chases after speechless mouse, mouse always gets away? The premise hasn't changed. Tom still chases after Jerry in nearly every direct-to-video film for one reason or another, and even if they have a short truce every once in a while, it always ends the same, with Tom chasing after Jerry and Jerry getting away. It's a tried and true formula that works and has a lot of room for interpretation, so that's what makes the characters timeless. You wanna know the one time they strayed from that formula? Tom and Jerry the movie, a film where Tom and Jerry can not only speak, but sing about wanting to become friends so they can save this one girl from her evil aunt that wants her money, and this is just not Tom and Jerry at all. They tried to change the characters to fit with the bigger scale of a theatrical film when that didn't need to be the case, until they strayed so far it ended up becoming a dated mess that has nothing to do with Tom and Jerry or the relationship they were iconically known for having. And everyone from critics to audiences hated it because they knew it was a sham. That's something Beavis and Butthead avoids thanks to Mike Judge basically always being involved with the project, who's understood the point of the characters since he invented them and still understands why they work. It's not about being epic or flashy or having a big story, they're fucking Beavis and Butthead, it's not that complicated. And in a way, you could consider that lack of complication complicated through the right lens. If I haven't made it clear by now, making Beavis and Butthead is an art, even if it seems simple, and it's exactly for that reason they're so easy to mess up. Some people aren't satisfied with simplicity, they want more. They wonder why it's impossible to have any complexity in a series like Beavis and Butthead, and to an unknowing observer, that sentence sounds very stupid, but that's just it. If they're thinking that way, they've missed all the intelligence behind the main leads to go off of. I mentioned it briefly before, but while Beavis and Butthead as characters are not complex or subtle, the world around them is, and that's part of why putting them into it makes for such entertaining films and TV. They serve as the fishes out of water in a normal, if not slightly cynical world that reacts to them. Beavis and Butthead aren't solely jokes to the audience, they're considered jokes in the world they live in. No one respects them, they've got no money, no dads, no smarts. It would honestly be kinda sad if the series wasn't a satirical comedy, but it is. And Judge knows that creating great satire doesn't just mean making two characters and calling it a day. He makes a whole world of caricatures and straight men to bounce off of, and sometimes they're so interesting they get their own series. Look at Daria. She was a side character commenting on the apathetic, sarcastic side of teenhood, and despite appearing only so often, she was popular enough to get a 5-season series all to herself. I'd argue the same is true of the boys' conservative neighbor Tom Anderson, who shares a lot of qualities with Judge's next protagonist after Beavis and Butthead, Hank Hill. What I'm trying to say is that Beavis and Butthead is more than them, it's what the writers come up with for them to interact with. And that philosophy holds true to this day in Do the Universe, having plenty to say on politicians, college professors, and the government in their own trademark style, that being on the side to the main duo, but still equally as funny and necessary to making Beavis and Butthead what it is. That being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. I realize I say that at the end of pretty much all of my videos, but it doesn't get any less true. Next big video is going to be slightly different than my regular form of content, but I hope you'll enjoy that when it comes out all the same. Now I'm gonna go back to sleep. Peace.